down there we put a sand pack. And the sand pack filters out some contaminants, and it makes sure that really fine-grained sediment doesn't get into our well, so our well is really clean and we don't have to do anything. We can just drink it right from the tap, at least if we have a good aquifer. So that's a little bit of what it looks like, and then sometimes there's different types of plugs on top that do different things. You might have a well cap at your property. So we have different kinds of wells. This is a very small diameter well, so you probably wouldn't have a well that small, especially if you have a pump inside your well, because you won't be able to find a pump that's that small if you're putting it in the well. So this is about what we would call a monitoring well, meaning that you just monitor groundwater with it. You're not using it to suck groundwater into your house. So the province would have a whole bunch of these monitoring wells around the province, and they're studying groundwater levels through the years and looking at how they're changing, maybe during droughts, or during storms, or during heavy rainfall or snowmelt. So all that data the province has, it helps keep your water safe and making sure that we're using it sustainably. Because different people want water. What kind of different uses we talked about already for groundwater? Drinking water, right? What else? Yeah, fresh water for drinking, salt water, yeah, for aquaculture, and then what's another big water user in PEI? That's not drinking water, it's not aquaculture.
Irrigation.
What user? Agriculture, farming, right? Irrigation, we water a lot of our fields. Depends on the field and on the year. So, this is, does anyone want to guess what this is? I think I might have said already.
A buoy.
What kind of buoy?
Radar.
A wave buoy. So when storms come, it floats up and down the water. It's usually tied at the bottom with a rope to an anchor. And it floats up and down, and it tells you how high the waves are. And it tells you what direction they're coming from, because that really matters depending on where you live. So who might be interested in how high waves are? Do you have any ideas? Yes. Yeah, really high for like swimming in, right? It's pretty fun to go wave surf, like body surfing. Yeah. Anyone? So recreational beach users would care about waves. Yeah, for swimming. Anyone else have ideas? Who might care about how high a wave is? Yes. Surfers, absolutely. And we were talking to some surfers this morning, because you can't surf in small waves, right? Not fun. So they care. Who else might care? Yeah, we care. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Fishermen, yeah, they don't want to go out if it's going to be 10-meter waves. Take their boat over. Yeah.
If you're looking for certain types, usually lobster, oyster.
Yep.
Mostly.
Yep. So lobster fishermen care about how high waves are, and maybe lobsters do too, because waves aren't just at the surface; they go down to the bed. So in shallow water, waves probably impact currents quite a bit at the bed and really impact lobsters. But lobsters don't know how to use wave buoys. So you can actually log into a website and you can look at how high the waves are that minute, because these here talk to satellites and satellites talk to your computer. So it's really cool, and PEI does not monitor waves as much as a lot of other places. This is one of those geophysical instruments I told you about. So this is the instrument that connects to that loop, that red loop I showed you, and it basically turns current on and off really quickly. Does anybody know what happens when you turn current on and off in a loop? Probably not. I didn't learn about this until I was older than you. It generates electromagnetic field. And it goes down into the earth and it comes back, and we can measure the earth's properties based on how the magnetic field comes back. So there's lots of things in science that work on electromagnetic fields and in your instruments and vehicles that you use every day. And this here is probably one of the things we use the most. It's one of our drones. We have a bigger one coming in a few days. It's missing 2 batteries here, and it only lasts about 20 minutes in the air before we got to take it down and put a new set of batteries, which is super annoying. You put in sensors down here, so you can put in cameras, so you can monitor, take videos, really beautiful pictures, and you can stitch them together to make one big picture. You could put in thermal infrared cameras. I showed you what that spring looked like, the blue and red colors. That's from this drone. You could put in LiDAR sensors. You could put in, people who do mining exploration, put in sensors that study magnetic fields. There's all kinds of amazing sensors you can put. There's something called a hyperspectral sensor where you take crazy fancy videos that tell you a lot about things like water quality and plant health. So they use them a lot in agriculture. So this is amazing because a few years ago we used to have to pay airplanes or helicopters to put sensors on them, and they charge us so much money. And now we can just put this up ourselves and take measurements much cheaper. So we like that. We don't like paying people money because we don't have a lot of money. So yeah, this is the biggest thing that's changed the way we do research, I think, in our lab in recent years. And that's it. So those are the sort of representation of the different types of work we do, but each of those, there's lots more to learn. There's all kinds of different gadgets and things you can buy that you have to figure out how to use. And then you have to interpret it and manage the data and figure out how to talk to people so that they can benefit from the science that you're doing. So are any questions on any of those things? Everybody's ready. How many days left of school do you have? 10.
Liam, you're a test. Mom is here to pick you up for an appointment. Could you come into the school, please?
See you, Liam.
Where would the closest buoy be to us?
That's a good question. I don't think there's any federal ones nearby in the Gulf, so probably just off Nova Scotia more so.
Okay. Because I thought shortly after Fiona, they released some data about the size of some of those waves, and I believe some of the biggest ones were off the coast of Newfoundland, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so there's some in that strait, I think, between Newfoundland and Cape Breton. We had some off Sable that were used a lot in the media
Okay.
too. So yeah, there's not many, but they do have models that try to model how high the waves are.
Sure.
Environment Canada does, but I don't know how accurate they are because we don't have measurements. Yes. What Julia was saying, what's the highest wave she was saying earlier?
So using one of those buoys during Hurricane Fiona, the waves were above 10 meters because our buoy only had 10 meters of extra rope, and a few hours into the storm we stopped getting measurements, meaning that the buoy couldn't communicate to the satellite and it was underneath the waves. So they were at least higher than 10 meters.
Yeah, so super high. You don't see waves that high close to shore, right? Because you never see a 10-meter wave when you're out swimming at Brackley. Who mentioned Brackley? Someone mentioned Brackley. One of you guys. So the waves get smaller as they come into shore because the ocean bed has friction and it slows them down. Well, it doesn't slow them down, it makes them smaller. Thankfully they get smaller, otherwise we would all be wiped out. Any other questions? Well, if I don't hear any, I don't know if someone has anything to say. Did you want to say anything to the kids? No, well if not, maybe you have one less day of school left. You can almost be done for summer. It's going to be so much fun. Sports, camps, sleeping in maybe. Yeah. All right, well thank you all very much for your time. It was fun to talk to you.